There were some meetings of questionable importance. I think in Dallas today, that's as specific as I need to get because it really doesn't matter where the meetings are. They're trying to figure out whether they're going to change the playoff this year or not. And right now, as you know, we just went through a year, first ever year, 12 teams in the playoff. And we had this really, really weird structure where we had 4 teams get first round byes, but the only teams that got first round byes were teams that won their conference. That was a rule. Didn't make much sense to some people, me included, but it was the rule. Everyone had to go by it. And so Oregon ultimately ended up just getting screwed by this whole mechanism that was the 2024/5 college football playoff. So the minute that thing was over, before it was even over, everyone from league commissioners to my dad to director Colin and producer Jesse and me and everyone else, I'm pretty sure my sister had a take on this, said, why in the world don't you just seed the thing 1 through 12 and you can make sure all your conference champs are in there, whatever, but why would you lock in some backwards rule where only conference champs can get a first round bye? Point was taken. It will shock you to know there's a lot more to this than just the pure as the driven snow integrity of the bracket. I know, but it does turn out dollars and cents and leveraging by people in suits worth more than your entire wardrobe. Knock on them, not you. It turns out that is in play here. So that brings us to today. So there's been a lot of just boom, 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 back and forth. We need to change this. The SEC and the Big Ten are looking at it and saying, hey, we're going to scrap this whole thing in 2026 anyway, but in 2025, the last year of the contract, we want it changed. And we don't want that auto bid only to go, or auto buy, only to go to a conference champ. And the other leagues are looking at it and saying, well, here's the problem. That's the only way we're going to get a first round bye. The Mountain West is looking and saying, well, getting a bye was great for Boise State. Boise's never going to get a first round bye any other way. And the Big 12 is looking and saying, how are we supposed to get Arizona State a first round bye if it's not locked in for us? And then just an innocent bystander's looking over there and saying, but we're not looking out for the best interest of Arizona State or Boise. We're supposed to be looking out for the best interest of college football. And then the Big Ten and the SEC say, yeah. But then another bystander says, you hypocrites. You've completely drained all the competitive balance out of the sport. You're getting your way on everything. You're about to get your way even more on everything because you guys control the levers of power completely a year from now. Can't you just let us have this one thing for one more year? As you can see, there's no resolution in sight. So that brings us to today. They had meetings in Dallas. I think Rittenberg was one of several out there. And, you know, what you wait on all day is you wait on them to have their meetings. And then, you know, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, because God forbid these people work past 5 o'clock, they emerge and they head off to their private jets to get back to, you know, whichever gated community they're going to sleep in this night. And Adam Rittenberg was presumably waiting outside of one of those rooms. He's one of us. Rittenberg, not one of them, one of us. And here's what he tweeted out a little while ago. This is 2:38 in the afternoon. He said, CFP meeting in Dallas has wrapped. And as expected, no votes or decisions were made on seating and format for 2025 and beyond. Executive Director Rich Clark called today, quote, an extension, unquote, of annual meetings later this month. They are, quote, walking down the path of some decisions. There are many contemptible aspects of the people who currently run college football and lead in college football. But one of them that's at the very top of the ladder of contention with me is how blasé they are about this time of year. In an ideal world, this is the time of year you get all the critical decisions made so that it doesn't push right up against fall camp and the start of the season, and they don't care. They don't care. Half of them are in the Maldives, and the other ones are on islands that we can't even pronounce because we've never even heard of them. And they all come back to campus about the time the students do. And they got terrible, terrible uneven tans. And it's, you know, they tighten up the sweater vest and they say, all right, what did we not get to yet? Not the way it should be. But yet it feels like that's the way this is playing out. Who knows? Maybe they'll make a decision down the road. Dellinger said, hey, quick timeout. Check and see if you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. If you're not, I humbly ask that you click subscribe. It's free. It doesn't sign you up for anything. What it does is it helps us keep this show free so we can just do college football year round. All right, back to the clip. I think he expects resolution to come in the not too distant future. Fingers crossed. But here's the question. Is this thing really going to change for this year? I kind of hope it does. Honestly, I don't have a strong stance either way. It makes no sense to me what the current format is, but I do get why it is the way it is. But if you're an alien, we haven't welcomed the alien on the show lately, but if we brought our friend the alien, who we bring in on matters such as these from time to time, if we brought him in and we tried to explain the concept of the playoff to him, first thing he'd ask is, why do you need any kind of prerequisite on the auto bid? Shouldn't it just be the best teams? Aren't you just looking for the best teams? Well, alien, go back to your own planet. It's a lot more complicated than that down here. But if I'm the Big 12, if I'm the ACC, if I'm the Mountain West, if I'm Notre Dame, who just gets their own entire seat at the table, that's the equivalent to a conference. I'm not knocking Notre Dame. It's great positioning in the world if you can get it. It's just no one else can get it. But if I'm any of them, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, this may be the last shot I have at leverage ever. What do I want out of this? This is the great unknown to me. In fairness, it's because I haven't asked around enough about it, but this is what I wonder aloud. There's no hidden pretext to what I'm about to say. I really don't know. I wonder what they want. Because the game being played here, for those unfamiliar, is the 2025 season's the last year of this current contract, the current 12-team model. Then they're going to tear the thing down, probably to the studs. They're going to rebuild it from scratch. It'll probably go to 14 teams, but here's what you need to know. The SEC and the Big Ten pretty much run it from 2026 moving forward. So they don't need unanimous consent on decisions like they have to get right now. They just kind of get to do whatever they want to. And you may say, well, that seems unfair. And you're right, but that's the world we live in. So I agree with you. Point being, if you said it's unfair and it sucks, I wish we could go back too, but we can't. So I wonder in the interim, are they looking around and saying, all right, we'll give you what you want for 2025, but we want concessions for 2026 and beyond. And of course they're doing that. The better question is, what are they asking for? Do they just want more money? Fair, it matters to everyone. What do they want? That's the first thing I wonder. The second thing is from a fan's perspective, dirty word, that's the real F word in the world of college football leadership, fan. Ugh. Can you imagine doing what's in the best interest of the fans? Can you imagine even acknowledging they exist? Players? Can you imagine fans and players mattering in this whole thing? Gross. You mean the people that sit out on the bleachers? Ugh. Yes, this sport would be so great if it wasn't for the fans and the players. I think it was Irving Azoff who said that about the Eagles one day. The music industry would be so great if it wasn't for the artist. It's a great documentary. You ought to go watch it sometime. Anyway, as for the fans, by my unscientific calculation, a supermajority of you feel the same way I do about this. And that is, have your 12-team playoff and have the seeds and put your conference champs in. That's okay, but don't have this completely warped conference champs only prerequisite for the first 4 seeds and therefore the first round buys. Most people feel that way. Not all people feel that way. And we went on this sort of tangent a month ago, so I'm not going to do it again. It's still on the channel. The video is, if you want to go find it. I laid out what someone who disagrees with that feels and why they feel it. And you can put yourself in the position of an NC State fan for a second, or put yourself in the position of a Big 12 fan, period. You have watched a lot of the world of college football crumble around you. And unlike a Penn State fan or an Auburn fan, you don't happen to have the right sticker on your helmet. So you haven't been the beneficiary of this. And you're not getting more money than you used to because of this. In fact, you're getting less access, less oxygen. Your conferences have been completely redrawn. And so now, you're in the same league as Stanford, even though you see one ocean out your window, they see the other ocean out their window. And you think, well, if everything's changed, I don't really care what's best for the sport. The sport's not serving me. So why should we constantly bend the knee to the greater good of the sport? We're not really serving the sport. We're serving the SEC and the Big Ten. And if you think about it like that, that's understandable. That's why I'm sitting here telling you, even though from a simple principled format standpoint, I think it makes sense not to have the auto bids and the auto buys only go to conference champs. I get it, man. I'd probably feel the same way if I was the fan of a specific team. If I was a Virginia Tech fan, I couldn't care less what the SEC or the Big Ten want. They're gonna choke us out anyway. When have they ever shown the desire to voluntarily come to the table? When have they ever shown a benevolent hand being extended in our direction lately? If they have, I hadn't seen it. And so I don't really care. Maybe 2025 is my last shot to enjoy them starving over there just a little bit, just starving a little bit.